When when we when we started, we were at a point where we came to a standstill. So we started, we had a name, we had our trademark into place when we met Stephanie. So we had all those things. So yes, we had all those things, but then we came to a standstill because we were like, okay, where do we go from here? Where do we go? How do we introduce this business to, community? How do we market this business? Who do we target? That's where Stephanie came into play. And so she actually helped us to figure out who we target. She helped us to figure out how we market. She helped us to figure out, so Stephanie she is great, when it comes to those things. She's actually been a great asset to our business, with all of that. So you guys should pay attention, because you guys are getting what people pay for free from Stephanie. I would say, write down everything that she says, because you're, like I said, you guys are getting it for free when other people are paying for it. She walked us through a lot of things, and she was able to get us through some huddles that we had. Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah. Hi. Well,
Hi.
am I saying that right? Wilnella?
Yes, it's
Yes.
Bonella.
Okay. So, I guess my question would be like, kind of, what was that partnership like with you, and Sis Stephanie towards, like, I guess going across those hurdles, or like being able to overcome them, in the midst of some of those earlier, obstacles, with any startup businesses, there's obviously going to be, some road bumps. So how were you guys both able to sort of navigate through that to where you are now?
Well, a lot of the hurdles that we had in the beginning was, because opening doors, right? Because when you start a business, a lot of times you don't know uh, connections. It's all about connections, and Stephanie has connections. You guys don't know. Stephanie knows a lot of people, so she was able to introduce us to people in the business. We were able to get, introduced to someone that actually already had connection in the alcohol business, and she introduced us to someone that was able to help us to navigate some of the things that we were able to get over. So that was one of the things that we used to get over some of the hurdles that we had. Stephanie has a lot of connections. So it was very important for us in the beginning stages. So
Thank you.
that's why I said she is an asset, because don't see Stephanie sitting there. Stephanie knows a lot of people in the background, and a lot of big people that you wouldn't think that she knows, but she does.
Thank you.
And she knows how to navigate. Like when something happens and you call Stephanie and you're trying to figure out how to get around an obstacle, Stephanie can think about it really fast, and she's like, "Oh, I know how to get around this and get around that." I'm a science person. I have a science mind. So when you have a science mind, you think about things one way, but with Stephanie and the way she thinks about things another way. So sometimes you need somebody that way that can think about things a different way than you think about it. So, and that's why one of the reasons why Stephanie was great on our team.
Let me chime in real quick on something that I want to bring to the forefront. So even though they are an alcohol beverage company, one of the things that we were able to come to a consensus about was making a non-alcoholic beverage version, because not everybody drinks alcohol. And
Yes.
so I know you guys are like, she actually called somebody here who makes alcohol. But when you think about it, when someone has a business, there's something called a pain point. And that pain point is basically meeting the need of the people. What's their pain point? What is the greater need that that demographic has? Not everybody drinks alcohol, so they were going to lose out on an entire demographic of people because not everybody drinks alcohol. So we discussed coming up with not just a non-alcoholic beverage, but also coming up with something that could be on the shelf and be dispensed immediately before they get the alcohol dispensary and all of that. But the other thing that came out of that is they were able to come up with, what is it, 4 more flavors for the drink?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had flavors.
So it just opens up even more because it might just be that little suggestion that may take your business to the next level. And sometimes 2 minds are greater than one. When you sit down and you have a discussion about it and you do something like a taste tester and you have a survey, you get to know the people that you're serving and you get to understand what it is that they need so that you can provide. And so one of the reasons I wanted her to come and talk about it is because they're now at that stage where they're getting ready to dispense. Her samples are being made so that they can perfect her formula, and be on the lookout. It's going to happen. But it is work, but if you apply the right principle and you have your mission and your vision and your business plan together, if you take it step by step, you can achieve whatever it is that you want.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to dream. And that's the biggest reason I wanted to do this. You can make a whole lot of money doing this, but who is it profiting? When you can help several other people take their dreams and goals, break it down into attainable dreams and goals and attainable goals, what better way to do it to help you guys get started? So by the time you get to where we are, your business is built and you're actually monetizing and making money and benefiting from it. So I just wanted to chime that in. Anybody else has another question?
Yes, I do have a question. So how did you come to the decision of, or I guess what helped you make a decision of creating your own business on your own by yourself versus maybe having a business partner or multiple business partners? Like what helped you make that decision?
Well, I do have a business partner, and he was the one that was actually making the rum punch. He would just make it recreationally for his friends. I told him, oh, this is a great product. Let's make it into a business. So he was making it recreationally, and I was like, oh, this is an awesome product. And a lot of people loved the product. I said, why not make it into a business? So when I said, let's make it into a business, I took the idea and I just ran with it. I automatically started, we came up with a name. I trademarked the name automatically. We came up with the business, then we came up with the product name, came up with a tagline, did all of that. So before we met Stephanie, like I said, we had already trademarked everything. We already had the product. We already, had situated ourselves as a company. But then we came to a standstill. We're like, where do we go from here? But so that's how we came up with the idea of having a business. So yeah, I have a business partner.
I guess my follow-up question to that would be, how do you navigate differences of opinion, between you and your business partner? And it's, as human beings, we all have different ideas, different opinions, although we may have similar visions, but we may have different ideas on how to implement the vision. So I guess what would be your advice on navigating, those challenges of having differences of opinions?
It's hard, but it's been a learning experience for me. And what I've learned is each person has to find their strengths and their weaknesses in the business. And so in the beginning, he basically said, the business side. So you do that. You perfect the business side. And then he knew the formula because of course that was his recipe. And he said, I'll make the rum punch. So that's what we did in the beginning. In the beginning, I worked on the business side, and then he worked on the formula, and it worked. So, you just have to find your strengths and know your weaknesses. And my weakness was I didn't really know how I would make the rum punch, but I wasn't making it as good as he did. He just knew how to make the rum punch a lot better than me. And eventually I was able to make the rum punch as good as he could. I was able to perfect it eventually. But in the beginning, he made the rum punch and I would work on the business side. So that's what I would do. I did all the paperwork. I handled all that side of it. I did everything with the business and he did the rum punch. So if you decide to get a business partner, you sit down and you decide who can do what, and then you stick to it and don't try to cross over and, go and see what the other person is doing, and don't micromanage. It's not good to micromanage because then the other person may get offended by you micromanaging.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question for Winella. So can you kind of speak to where you and your business partner, where you guys were at, I guess initially financially, like, for some of us, maybe we're not at a place financially to be able to, start a business like tomorrow. Of course, it takes a process. I'm not saying that anyone, is starting a business tomorrow, but like, can you kind of speak to like having that financial game plan towards, starting your business, you and with your business partner?
Well, I admit, I am a doctor and he is in the pharmaceutical field. So yes, we probably were a lot better financially, than a lot of people, but that doesn't mean it can't be done. I've seen people take a second job, doing Uber to save money to start their business, and it's worked. So sometimes you have to make sacrifices if you want to do something. You know, I know someone now who's doing DoorDash to save money to when, after hours to start her business, and she's doing it. So you can't be short-sighted. You have to look at the long-term goal of what you're doing, because you have to look at it as, do I want to stay in my current situation for a long period of time? So what you have to do is give yourself a 5-year plan of, and look at your current situation as your job. Are you happy with what you're doing in your job? And then you look at your business and see and project what your business is going to do for you. And if you feel like your business is going to make you more content, sacrifice and get that second job or whatever it is, and make that money so that way you can spend it on your business, so that in 5 years you're working for yourself. So I gave us a 5-year goal, and I said that we are going to be in stores in 5 years. Literally, it's been 3 years, and if it wasn't for the pandemic, I would have projected by last year we would have been in stores. We're already at the dispensing stage, the distillery stage, where hopefully we're going to be in stores by next year. So it hasn't even taken us 5 years. And it wasn't even as expensive as I thought it was going to be. It was a lot less expensive than that. I looked around, I found the least expensive distiller that I could find. I looked around, I found the least expensive flavor company. Initially, it looked a lot more expensive than I thought, but you keep looking and you keep looking, and you may find avenues that are less expensive than you think. But you have to just keep working at it and keep working at it and keep chipping at the blocks that come in front of you to be able to get to your goal. And what's crazy, I learned a lot from watching Shark Tank too. I learned a lot from watching Shark Tank. I used to watch Shark Tank, and I started to learn from the judges on Shark Tank. And a lot of them didn't start out with money. A lot of them started out with nothing. And they built their business from nothing. So you don't necessarily need to be rich, and I'm not rich. I may be a doctor, but I'm not rich. And you don't have to necessarily have a lot of money to start a business. You just have to be resilient. You have to be determined. You have to have hard work, and you have to set a goal. You set a goal and don't stop until you accomplish your goal. And that's always been my mantra since I was little, to set a goal and don't stop until you accomplish your goal by any means necessary. And thanks, that was a great question too.
And I guess on that note, in terms of how Shark Tank helped you, are there any other resources that you use or any other tools that helped you in your process?
Dave Ramsey, because sometimes we don't realize how much money we waste. Dave Ramsey teaches you how to save money. So I was wasting money eating. And that's my thing. I don't buy designer purses and stuff like that, and designer this and designer that. I love to travel, and I'm not gonna lie, I travel first class because I need to be convenient. I don't like sitting in main cabin, and I'm not trying to be snobbish. I just like to be convenient and have my feet, comfortable. So I travel internationally and domestically first class. So, but I eat out a lot. And I started to realize how much money I was wasting eating out. So I started to save money, like cooking more at home. And so Dave Ramsey, go and get his book or whatever and start saving money that way. And you'll realize how much money you're wasting. And you will save so much money, you'll have enough money for your business. I'm telling you. Get Dave Ramsey's book. That is going to help you. And you'll be like, oh my gosh, I've wasted money all these years doing stupid things, And if you really want money for your business, that is it. There are other things out there to help you save money also. And just because somebody already has done it, does not mean you can't do it too and do it better. Think about CVS and Walgreens. You can go on one street. You'll see a CVS on one side. You'll see a Walgreens right down the street. They're selling the same thing. They're both successful. So just because somebody else has done the same thing doesn't mean you don't have to do it also. Great question also, Susie.
And even right in your giant Safeway, Shoppers, all of those grocery stores in Walmart, you have Jif peanut butter, you have Skippy, you have natural peanut butters. Just because somebody else is doing it, people have preferences. So if God has given you an idea, you have something you want to do, don't settle on, oh, somebody else is doing it, or somebody, they may be doing it better or anything like that. But realize that God is giving you something special, and that's where you find your niche. And we'll go over some of those things, in beginning your business, your nonprofit, or whatever, and the process to go through that. So if anybody has any other further questions, go ahead and ask those. If not, then we'll move to part 2 of this. Questions or comments? I'm going to start picking on some people. They know who they are because they're real quiet in here today.
Stephanie.
Hey, I'm a pusher. I'm a pusher. You should know this, Winona. There's no reason to shrink back. No question is the wrong question. And so, I want you guys to be free to have conversation, because that's how we grow. That's how we grow. If there are no other questions for Dr. Peters, you can feel free to hang with us some more. Or if you need to leave, we understand. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining
You're
us
welcome.
today.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for the questions. You guys ask really good questions. I wish you all the best on your businesses. And feel free to contact me. You guys can always go to Stephanie.
You can drop your contact information in there if they want to, contact you. Feel free to put it in the chat. I don't hold back stuff. This is not a dictatorship. This is how you grow. You share. That's how I grew. People were willing to share with me. They were willing to help me grow in areas that I was not, strong in. So please feel free if you have any other questions. She also does missions, medical missions for eyes every couple of years, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You want to tell them a little bit about it before we move on?
Yes, I can. My nonprofit is called Helping Eyes Against the Loss of Sight. We perform mission trips in different countries. We haven't been because of COVID, unfortunately. Hopefully the pandemic will be over soon, because I do miss going and doing mission trips and seeing patients. We've been on a few mission trips to Liberia. We've been to Haiti. We've worked with other people in Nigeria, and we've seen patients in Jamaica. And we perform full eye exams. We distribute medications, we distribute glasses and sunglasses. Sunglasses are actually pretty important in those countries because there are diseases that affect the eyes that can cause blindness from the sun. And we've seen so far about a total of, working with other doctors, seeing about 1,200 patients since we started. It's just myself and another doctor, Dr. Smith Blanc. So I'm very proud of us, the fact that we've seen a total of 1,200 patients with just 2 doctors. And we're always looking for volunteers who would like to go. That's about it. And we are a 501c3. Yes. Thank you. Now I'm a little tired there. A 501c3 organization. So we are a legitimate organization. We started in 2013. Yay.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Peters. I appreciate you. Now we're going to segue. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Put it in the chat.
So we will segue into the next part. Now that we've talked about this, some of you have to catch up to what we are, where we are with your mission and vision and things like that. But what I want to do is I want to share my screen. I'm kind of trying to decide, do I share another testimonial? Do I let's go through this part first, and then we'll come back to the other part. It's about a minute long. So we'll go through this part, and then if you have any questions, we'll go through there and then come back. But I want to share my screen, and I want to talk a little bit about how we get started. We talked a lot about, I think I shared the wrong screen. Hold on. Sorry, technology is not being my friend currently. There we go. The wrong one. Oh, sorry. There we go. All right. So I want to kind of go through the steps in getting started. And one of the things, is it showing the entire show, or is it showing my computer screen?
Your computer screen.
So what's happening? Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me try something different.
Oh, I meant it was showing the slide.
Oh, it's showing the slide, not my computer screen. As, okay. I was like, wait a minute, I should know how to do this. I'm a techie, hold on. Okay, sorry, it's Sunday. Y'all, I'm a little tired. Okay, there we go. All right. And so I want to kind of, you guys see a video right now or this slideshow?
Just
Sorry.
one page of the slide.
Okay, cool. All right. So we talked about Kingdom Enterprise, what it is, the benefits of the business. Now, how do you get started? Whether it's a nonprofit, whether it's your dream, your goal, how do you get started? How many of you have done anything with the vision board? You can throw it in the chat.
I have.
Okay. And Tammy, you want to share how effective that has been for you?
Yeah, sure. I and my couple of my girlfriends, we do like a vision board at the beginning of the year. So it's definitely been effective, especially when you place it where you can see it like constantly. So I guess it just kind of seeps into the subconscious mind. But it's definitely been effective with certain goals that I've set, academically, spiritually, physically. So it's been effective. I find that to be very effective.
Okay. I'm very big on vision boards, and I'll tell you why. Exactly what Tammy said. It speaks to you. Write the vision, make it plain so that they that read it may run. How many of you have heard here lately people talk about manifestation? What was the other one they had a couple of years ago that everybody was doing? The Secret. Everybody talked about The Secret, and all that had to do was doing exactly what God already asked us to do anyway, which was to speak. His word says, you shall decree a thing and it will be established, right? And how do you make things happen? You have to open your mouth and speak it. If you have a dream and you're just dreaming and you never do anything about it, is it going to come to pass? Chances are it won't. And so I want us to begin. That's why I asked you guys to come up with a mission, with your vision. And I'll give you another week to work on it when we come back to the next session, because it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time. It doesn't just come to you that way, because as we go along, certain things will come to mind and your mission statement might change. Your vision might change slightly, because at that point you will realize, I started off this way. So originally I started off wanting to be a pharmacologist. If you look at my yearbook and you read what I wrote, I was actively going to be a pharmacologist, and minor in communications. I didn't really start that way. I got into college and I went more the way of human resources and accounting. I did a little of communications, but it wasn't a whole lot. And then all of that got interrupted, and God had me go to Bible college, and I fought it because I didn't want to be a preacher. I wanted to make money. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to make money. I wanted to live a good life, and I wanted to retire at 40. Those were my plans. Make a lot of money, retire at 40, and live my life on the beaches of the world. That wasn't God's plan. God's plan was doing exactly what I'm doing now, and going out and becoming a person of impact for the younger generation and others around me. That was his plan for my life. I didn't want to do it because I thought it involved standing behind a pulpit and preaching. I didn't want to be a pastor. I didn't want to be a pastor's wife. A lot of my friends in Bible college wanted to be, but I didn't want to, because I didn't want to deal with people. I'm just going to be very transparent. I didn't want to deal with people. I wanted to be rich, make money, retire early, and enjoy my life. That's what I wanted to do. And so I say all of that to say, sometimes you have your plan. That's why the word says man plans his way, but what? God directs his path. My plan was my plan. I didn't see God in any of that. And so your mission and vision as we go through this process may slightly change, and don't feel any way about it, because You're learning, you're getting from point A to point B. Okay? So getting started in business, what is number one thing you should do, whether it's business, whether it's a calling, whether it's a nonprofit, whatever it is that you're setting out to do. I encourage you to find pictures, find things that correlate with it, get educated about it. So the first step is, hold on, the first step will be research your market. Research your market. Researching your market means if you know that you want to start a business that has to do with fashion, what is the one thing that you'll research? What type of fashion you're going to get involved with, right? Whether it's athletics, whether it's high fashion, whether it's evening attire, whether it's casual, you're going to do all of that research because you have to know where you're headed in order to get there. That's how you build that vision board, okay? The next thing would be, remember we talked about the pain point? Your pain point. So now that you've decided, okay, so this is the kind of business that I really want to start, or this is what I want to do, this is the venture I want to do, this is my goal that I'm going after. What problem is it solving? In e-commerce or in economics, it's supply and demand, right? We go to the grocery store because we have a demand and they supply that need. Same principle here. You're solving a problem. That's what's called a pain point. You're solving the pain point that a person has with you. So if you're doing t-shirts, if you're providing athletic wear, you're basically solving my problem because I want to be an athlete. I want to go and work out. And this is what I need, and you're supplying that need. Does anybody have a question or comment? Okay. So that's point two, that pain point in solving the problem. And you're using all of this. I want you guys to use all of this to start to build your vision board. It's going to have your mission, your vision. We're going to create all of this, and that board will be placed where you can see it daily so that you begin to chop away at it, set attainable goals, and then go from that point so that you're able to move forward with your plan. Is everybody okay? I know it's late on a Sunday, and some of y'all have been in a lot of services and stuff like that. So it's fine. Just throw some stuff in the chat for me so I know that the interaction is a little bit better for me. Help keep me awake too, y'all. Create a plan. That's your vision, your mission, business name, and how you're going to execute it. Excuse me. So if you say, so somebody throw a kind of business or a nonprofit or something, somebody throw it in the chat and I'll show you how we build on that. We'll do a little bit of role play. Isaiah and Abraham, I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys. Yes, I'm picking on you. You're quiet.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Throw something in the chat as a business idea, a goal, a dream, or a nonprofit, and I'll show you how to build on that. So I see two in there. So the candle business. What was the first thing we said we needed to do? Do some research, right? So the research would be what type of wax you would use to make the candles, right? And what it would take to make the candle. And then what kind of wick, which is the part that burns, you would need to know about so that when a person burns the candle, it doesn't catch on fire, right? Then you would find out what kind of containers you can put it in that when they light the candle, it won't burn, or when it's stored, whether on a shelf or transport or mail, that it won't melt or it won't be contaminated, right? So those are the things you would do. And in creating the plan, you would find out, okay, some people may be allergic to a certain kind of wax. Is there something you can do that's all natural that people can still have the benefit of that candle experience? And then you would look at the age group that you would serve, what type of scents they like, which means you would have to do some surveys and things like that. So those are the things that you would put in your plan. And we'll go through in the next session on how to create that business plan. We will together create a business plan so that everybody knows how to do that. Advertising agency. What kind of outlets are you looking at? What are the best ways to advertise? Is it paper? Is it digital? Is it word of mouth? Those are things that you would look at when you create your plan. Who needs advertising the most? How do you serve your small businesses? How do you serve your mom and pop shops? How do you serve your major businesses? How do you serve, who are you serving? You would determine all of that and you would create a plan based on that. Okay, Florent? And Isaiah, construction business. How do you create a plan around it? What type of construction are you trying to do? Are you doing prefab? Are you doing concrete? Are you supplying the construction business or are you the one building? So what does that take? You would create a plan around that. Who are you servicing? Are you servicing builders? Are you servicing people who do roads? What kind of, you would narrow it down to the type of construction business you want, whether it's designing or building. Are you actively just designing as an architect, or are you actually in the work of building the building? So you would go through the journeyman and the architecture and all of that, the blueprints and all of that. So you would create your plan based on that. Okay. Any questions so far? So Isaiah, I look forward to seeing your mission and vision statement and the name for your business in our next workshop, okay? That's the homework from the first class.
Yes, ma'am.
Abraham, same with you. Okay, Tammy, hair and skincare. What products work best on your skin, right? Then you have several different types of skin: melanated skin, non-melanated skin, people who have dry skin, people who have oily skin, and then people who have very sensitive skin. So those are the things that you would look at. Hair products. What works for straight hair? What works for natural curly hair? What works for kinky curly hair? What works for a mixed texture of hair? So those are the things that you would look at in creating your plan. How do you serve? Can you do a product that's across the board that works for everybody? Or will you need to create several versions of the product that deal with a person that has dry skin, a person that has oily skin, or a person that has sensitive skin? What are some things that you can do? How do you get your packaging? What kind of packaging would you need? What other ingredients would you need to add into there so that it can be shelf stable? If you want to stay more natural, what would you need to not put in there so across the board people are able to use the product and not have any issues?
Would you advise that, so in the beginning stages with research, would you advise that we literally research everything and look at everything, or are there some basic concepts or things to research first? Because I can imagine some people, myself, would get overwhelmed researching everything right off the bat. So like, for example, with the skin and hair business, how you mentioned looking at researching maybe the demographics that you want to target or the marketing. Would you say that, okay, there is a priority, maybe marketing could be looked at later, for instance?
Marketing is down the line, but you have to determine who you're serving, and you want to be as narrow as possible, because what ends up happening is that if you get overwhelmed, then you tend to throw it away and say, this is too hard, I'm going to walk away. Find your niche. So find who you're most comfortable with. And I know that sounds really bad, but for example, my coaching is mostly to young adults and then the older generation, because most people aren't very patient with people who are older because they feel like I've got to explain too much. You should know all of this by now. And then a lot of the older generation not very tech savvy. So nobody wants to take the time to really take the time to teach them and show them the ropes. But God has given me a gift to work with them patiently. So I'm able to say, listen, technology isn't scary. You just have to take your time and learn it. So you find as you go what works and what doesn't work. And don't be afraid of failure, guys. That is how you grow. Failure are stepping stones towards the right area of where you're supposed to be. If you don't fail, you don't know what not to do. So don't be afraid of failure. You know, Will Jolly says a setback is a setup for a comeback. Things are going to happen that you don't plan, or you feel like you didn't succeed there. You know what I'm saying? But it's not a failure. So when you do your research, be very honest with yourself. Who do I want to serve? But don't make it so large that it becomes overwhelming to you. I can't really see myself with my personality really working with a lot of like maybe teenagers. I don't have a, sometimes I think too deep. So sometimes teenagers get lost in my deepness. You see what I'm saying? So I had to own that. And I've also had to learn how to communicate with them, because there will be times where teenagers might be involved. I still got to learn how to communicate with them. But is it my niche? No, it's not. I don't know if that answered your question, Susie.
Yes, that makes sense. Thank you.
So Abraham, you have clothing line that prints out kids' artwork on clothing for cheap. So who wants to take a stab at what Abraham would have to do as far as his research and creating a plan?
Maybe the fabric or the type of t-shirt that he'd like to use.
Okay.
Who
Lauren,
can,
I'm gonna pick on you a little bit after Tessa. I'm gonna pick on you a little bit since you want to do advertising. I want to hear your thoughts on that. Go ahead, Tessa.
where he can find it for cheaper and good price, but cheaper, and who would, yeah.
Okay. Lauren.
I said, you can maybe find out the type of arts that the kids will be attracted to.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe he can find like the company, like the ink company, the people who are gonna put it on the t-shirts, like the longevity of the ink, like research different kind of inks where it doesn't wash out in the washer. And
Okay.
then I heard a company, well, there's a company that I saw on the reel, and they do something like that, but with jewelry. So like, let's say a kid has a jewelry, art that they brought back from school, their parents can turn it into a piece of jewelry with gold. I saw that on, I forget what it's called, but it was kind of meaningful because the parents can pick the artwork and wear it around.
That's literally
That's
what I
really
was trying.
good. That's really good. So see, there you have it. You have several really, really good suggestions on how to create that plan. So like I said, we will work together as a team in creating the plan, and then we'll talk amongst ourselves so that we can, because you never know, great minds think alike, and working together will give you the opportunity. Somebody may have a suggestion that may, you know, just turn on a light switch, you know? The other thing is a lot of companies, when you're thinking about t-shirts, even advertising, clothing, things like that, when you're thinking about those things, a lot of companies will send you samples. So instead of having to spend your money on every single thing, we're also going to discuss keeping your overhead down so that as you build, you're not throwing all of your money out, but you're spending your money very wisely. Okay. So a lot of companies get samples. So a lot of the stuff that I've used for some of my clients, for example, with Dr. Peters, we got samples of the bottles. We got samples of the, you know, like if you're doing tasters, what kind of, you know, glasses you're going to use and things like that. So all of those things play a major role in your presentation, but you work towards it. So they'll send you samples, you try it out, and then you give people everything you do. If you're starting out, make sure. Number one thing, and I want you guys to write this down, ask for feedback. That is how you grow. After last week's class, I immediately texted Pastor Barney and I also texted Uncle Alfred and I asked Tammy, how was the class? And I'm going to ask you guys as well. One of the things that Pastor V said, and I felt it the same way, he was like, you know, you got to make it a little more lively. It was a little dry. And then I, you know, yeah, it was dry because I was like, oh, this is not going as well as I wanted it to be, even though it was great information. Make it more interactive. He was like, get some testimonials so that people can hear it. You're just not talking at them, but engage them as well. Feedback is important. I may be great at what I do, but if I'm not teachable, I can't teach. If I'm not willing to learn, it's not going to work. You have to be willing to learn. You have to be honest enough to receive feedback so you know what to do better and then what not to do. Any questions? We've gone over a little bit. I want to share, at the end, I'll share a video of someone else, and then we'll segue into what workshop 3 is going to look like. So for those of you who weren't part of workshop 1, Tammy, if you could just put in the chat what the homework was, please save the chat so that we can all be on the same page with homework. And I know a couple of people texted me because they had prior engagements, they couldn't be here. So I want to be able to send that to them as well. So the business plan is going to be what we will work on in our 4th section, 3rd and 4th workshop. We'll talk about how to put that together. So your homework then will be, researching your market. So when we come back together, Susie, I want to hear a little bit about your research on the candle business. Lauren, I want to hear a little bit more about your advertising, what type of research you've been able to do. Isaiah, same with you. Tammy, same with you on hair and skin. Abraham, same with you as well. Tesfa, same with you as well. I want to see what your research has come up with. And then once we go through that, we will find out what problem, what pain point are you solving based on your research and what it is that you want to do. But please work on your mission and vision. Like I said, don't be so hard on yourself because we're developing as we go. I want you guys to really, really own that. Because if you get overwhelmed, you'll want to throw in the towel. You'll want to throw in the towel. So any questions before let me stop sharing for a second. So we will work on our business portion of it. We will begin next week. If you know somebody was here in the first workshop, then come to the second one. Encourage them to work on that stuff. They don't have to always be here, but I want everybody to not only benefit from it, but be able to become the best versions of themselves. It's about empowering people to do what it is that they need to do. Any questions before I share this last video? And then I will ask Pastor Varney for any last words or ask him to pray us out. And then we will see next week. We made it, y'all, 1 hour. Thank you guys so much. I know Sundays are a little difficult.
Difficult is an understatement.
I'm so sorry, Pastor V. I know you caught it real bad. That's why I asked you so many questions today. But you guys hung in there, though. I really appreciate that you took the time to log on, because a lot of us have a lot going on Sunday, but you guys, took the time to log on. So let me play this quick 1-minute video. This is Nakia Nesbitt. She is the owner of Unapologetically Free Radio and Limitless Possibilities LLC. So she just wants to share a little bit with you guys. So let me share my screen. And if you have any questions or anything, just throw it in the chat, okay?
Is it just me? I can't hear it.
You guys can't hear it?
I can't hear it either.
No, I can't hear it either.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Do you see her though? Do you see the video?
Yeah, we see it.
Yeah.
Maybe turn up the video internally from the video.
It's all the way up. Interesting.
Did you share the sound from Zoom? When you click on share.
Okay, let me try to share it again. Hold on. No. Interesting. Share sound. There we go. Let's try this again, okay? Just throw it in the chat if you can't hear, and then I'll start it over.
Hey there, my name is Kia Nesbitt, and I'm the host of Unapologetically Free Show, as well as the owner of the Unapologetically Free radio station. And I'm super excited to talk a little bit about my girl, my friend, and my coach, Stephanie Paraiso. Stephanie is no short of amazing. I've had the pleasure of using her to help me launch the radio station, as well as for other business endeavors. Stephanie's expertise, her knowledge of business management systems, organization, getting things in place, sponsorship packages, you name it. Stephanie is the girl for the job. She is on task. She is on point. She is honest. She is spirit-led. And she is someone who I could trust with my vision to give it to her, and she was able to help me to get my vision to come to pass. So I would recommend Stephanie Paraiso to any person who is looking to start a business, who is already in business and wanting to take their business to the next level. She is the girl for the job. Thank you so much and have an amazing day.
Okay, so guys, there you have it. Thank you so much. We went 8 minutes over. I'm so sorry. I will do better next time with timing. Please hold me to it, Tammy and Pastor V. You can feel free to put your hands up when it's time to wind down, and I would adhere to it. But thank you guys so much. Please save the chat. Let's work on this. Please, let's work together to get your dreams and goals achieved. I want to see each and every one of you win. Pastor V and Tammy, I hand it over to you guys.
Thank you so much, Stephanie.
You're welcome.
Well done, well done. Well, I think you said a mouthful, and I think we've all been blessed today with this information. I look forward to the next one, and I know it's going to be great. I do encourage everybody to make sure you invite 1 or 2 persons that you think could benefit from this. The recording will be available for sure, but make sure that you can invite people accordingly. All right. Tammy, you want to close out in prayer?
Sure. In Jesus' name,